The first and pretty much most important thing is making sure you get to Victoria Coach Station, because that is where your coach will leave. FlixBus, National Express, all that leave from there, and you'll head into the departures lounge, where you will check where your coach leaves from. So, of course, the gate. Mine was gate 13, so I walked myself there. My friends are there just waiting for me. But we headed over, got some food, and then, of course, our coach arrived.
Into the unknown.
Zach was getting himself into the mood of things, I guess. And basically, they just checked your passports and then you headed on to the coach. It was really vibey because this left at 10 p.m. in the evening, so it was already getting a little bit late. But about 2.5 hours later, you end up in Dover to border control, where, of course, you go and do your passport control just like you are in an airport and things like that. It's nice and easy. However, Zach got randomly chosen to go and have a full security pat-down, which we found hilarious. They also then give you one of these. This is inclusive onboard meal voucher. Now, this is only valid on the actual ferry itself.
So, I will say, we've had a 2-hour layover, so I popped in W.H. Smith, got myself a Monster and a football.
We chilled for a bit and then we got back on the coach again, to which we were then sent onto the ferry. Now, we got this as our free meal, which was chips, chicken nuggets, vegetables, which are quite nice, and I like ketchup, and, a drink was included as well, which is pretty decent. Now, you kind of just chill in this lounge for a couple hours. I mean, it's like an hour and a half's crossing, I think it is. And of course, our ferry was at like 2 a.m. So most people were sleeping, which was kind of cool. So we just explored, sat here, ate some food. The others are just grabbing their food at the moment, but it's not a bad meal. We also headed out and explored the ship, which was weird as hell to explore a ship in the middle of the night. Like, we could not see anything. It was freaky, and it was really windy and really, really rocky. Like, it was really freaking scary. But we headed around.
How do you feel about going overboard? Oh, we're turning.
Like, I promise you, there is no camera trickery here in any way, shape, or form. It was so hard to walk in a straight line. It was so ridiculously rocky. This is us trying to walk in a straight line as much as possible. But we were walking to other ends of the ship and just, like, falling over in the process. It was so difficult. They also have a duty-free as well, which was kind of cool. And it was actually really cheap in the duty-free,
So, it's currently nearly 4 in the morning, UK time, 5 in the morning, French time. And it's starting to hit us all. We're starting to get very tired very quickly. We've got about 4 hours when we get back on a coach that takes us all the way to Paris. It does stop in central Paris for one stop, and then it goes on to Disneyland Paris as well. And that's where we get off, of course. So expected to arrive anywhere between like 9:30 sort of time. So I'll catch up with you guys then, I suppose. But it's been okay. It's been a bit of a rocky journey. So we're sort of going to and fro, falling over, which is quite a fun one. Duty free was kind of cool. Duty free is dirt cheap on a boat, which is kind of nuts. Like, they sell the big bottles of alcohol for £12-13 on an average. You've got Billy playing the arcade machines over here, but it's just a bit discombobulated, to be honest. It's very rocky, very weird. I've not done a boat like this in time, but an hour and a half from end to end is not bad. So if you can stay awake, grab yourself a Red Bull or something like that, I definitely recommend it, just because otherwise, it's going to end up being a little bit rougher. But for me, I think it's okay. I mean, the money as well. You got free food. It's obviously part of your ticket, but if you're paying 30 quid each way, which is what we paid, 30 quid per person each way, you get obviously full transport and things like that. Your meal is included, which today there was an option of like fish and chips. There was like a curry, a vegetarian dish, and chicken nuggets and chips. So I had that with vegetables and stuff like that. The staff are really lovely, and it's just a bit of fun, a bit of a vibe. Obviously, if you're by yourself, it's a little bit different, and I would recommend catching some sleep. But if you're with a group of people, although we're all feeling slightly deflated now, because it is, like I say, getting very late, it's a pretty good vibe. So we've literally just pulled up to Calais. You can see this behind us. So we're going to head back onto the coach. So I know you'll get random B-roll there, but we'll get back on the coach now, and then we will drive onwards towards Disneyland Paris.
We got back on the coach and headed off at Calais, and this is the point where I went straight to sleep because I was knackered. And then I woke up a swift, 4 or 5 hours later, and we were in traffic, which was sick. But we ended up making it to Paris, where everyone got off the first time. So they all left, and then it was about an hour's journey from there to Disneyland, and they literally drop you off in the coach station. It was fantastic.
Before we head on today, however, we do have to thank our sponsor of today's video, this fantastic Airbnb, which is located just 10 minutes from the park. You can get an Uber there, or you can walk. It's about 15 minutes. It's not actually 20 minutes. It's lying on Google Maps. However, I generally cannot recommend this place enough. It is super family friendly. It sleeps 4. You have these really cute furnishings all the way through, and there's more properties to come as well. This one at the moment is completely Toy Story themed. They work really hard on theming it around it with fantastic posters. It's easy, it's so close to everything you need, and it's right next to the Val de Europe shopping centre, which for those of you who don't know is a massive shopping centre located roughly 10-15 minute walk from where I am stood right now outside Disneyland Paris. It has a sea life and so many shops, so all your essentials can come from there. But I cannot recommend this Airbnb enough. Link in description down below if you want to learn a little bit more. They treat you like a proper space ranger with custom text messages. It's freaking awesome. The immersion is great. They've done a really good job. And to top it off, there's a swimming pool on site. It's part of the Adagio complex, so do bear that in mind when you are checking in. However, it's a lovely little privately owned Airbnb, so it's been great partnering with them. Stay's been absolutely wonderful, so do check them out.
Okay, time for the return journey. It was basically a reverse process. Get back on exactly where it dropped you off and laugh, then fall asleep until you get to border control, where I was rocking my awesome Pizza Planet Crocs. But this was a full check-in.
So it's currently 5 a.m. We're on the ferry back. I think rocky is a bit of an understatement. It's a little bit on the ropey side, isn't it, Zach?
Yeah.
Everyone's stolen all the chairs, so we're now in the children's area, which looks fantastic. Yeah, I must say the journey back is not as nice as the journey out. So this is making the whole FlixBus experience go down on my list. However, getting there really was quite good. So if you can get there on a FlixBus and back somehow else, that's my recommendation. Plus, on the way there, we got food for free, whereas on the way back, we did not, and it was a Costa. And we all know what happens when Costa Coffee combines with duty-free / travel. It gets really expensive. So we ended up paying I paid like £12 for a drink and some pasta. But because we had a free food on the way there, we thought we would on the way back. So we didn't eat before we got the coach. So I was freaking starving. And we've got another hour until we get to England, and then another 2.5 hours-ish, maybe even more, until we get back to London. So, yeah.
It was probably even creepier as well on the way home, just because I think I was even more tired.
It's now like 5 a.m. in like UK time.
Stair marshals, please open the gate. Stair marshals, please open the gate.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I will see you, man, when you get back in London. 'Cause I'm going to bed, so good night.
And as I said, I went to sleep and woke up in London, and we got off at Victoria Coach Station, into the station itself, and down into the underground.
Okay, we be back. Now, I will admit this is slightly later than I would anticipated of recording this video, but I've had a lot going on. So my thoughts, I've obviously had time to reflect on my FlixBus experience, and would I recommend it? I actually don't know. I'm very torn half and half. I would say yes, go with a FlixBus. Go from central London for between £15 and £30 that takes you overnight to Disneyland Paris. I personally think the 9-10 p.m. buses work perfectly because it's about 2.5 hours to Dover. That takes you to around about the midnight period. Then okay, you do have to wait until like 2 a.m, of which you are starting to get tired, and then the ferry crossing takes you to roughly 3 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of doable. Obviously, if you're not used to staying up to 3 a.m. or you haven't done that for a very long time, of course it's going to be a bit of a sore thing to do. But for myself, having been able to do that for a very long time, and obviously having company with me, definitely doable. Obviously, if I was by myself, probably not as much. I would have like burnt out a hell of a lot quicker. I probably would have fallen asleep. So I don't know if it would have been as pleasant of a journey. So I'm actually going to go and use a FlixBus service in the future video of doing it solo to see if there is any difference between going as a group or going as a solo. The overall experience going out was absolutely brilliant. It was great vibes. Obviously, I was anticipating our holiday. I was with the boys. It was a good fun trip. The boat ride wasn't too bad. It was kind of like Buki going out at night, like it was weird, but the food was good that they gave us, you know, they were very accommodating, and it was just very chill. It was a funny experience nonetheless. My issue was then going home. I had just done a full day in the parks. The boys hadn't. They'd actually spent the day in the pubs in the Disney Village trying to wait for me to film the vlogs that are now on the channel. So thanks to them. However, I was already tired because I'd done 20,000 steps walking around the park that day. So that was a good way of using my time. Then I got on the bus at 10 p.m. French time, which of course an hour's difference, there's quite a lot in that because that's 9 o'clock UK time. Obviously that then meant, yes, technically we were set back an hour, but instead of the 2-hour drive to Dover and then the 2-hour ferry to Calais, it was a 4-hour drive back to Calais, then we had to wait for an hour and a half, then we got on the ferry. The ferry was then ridiculously rough on the way back. It was very, very choppy. And on top of that, we were really freaking tired. I'd just done 3 days at the parks. On top of that, we didn't have any food before we got on the actual bus to get on the ferry, because we thought that, you know, there's food on the way out, there'll be food on the way back. We were wrong. There's not any food on the way back from what we experienced, which there might be in other services, but for us, there was no food on the return journey. So that made it that little bit more miserable. Then, obviously, it was the hour and a half, 2-hour-ish, all the way back to Dover, got back on the bus, and then I did fall asleep pretty quickly going into then London. Obviously, I then did arrive at London at I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8 in the morning, so it was pretty early. And obviously, just bear in mind that I've then slept on a bus next to my friend or it could be a stranger if I went on a solo trip, for the duration of the night. So financially, great way of saving money, 100%. Comfort, you ain't gonna do it, okay? Like, realistically, and this is what I'm doing for my next trip, is I'm gonna go FlixBus out, plane home, okay? Because the FlixBus definitely is worth saving the money, especially if the plane tickets are extortionately expensive. But if you book your travel in advance, you should be chilling for Eurostar, things like that as well, nice and cheap. However, if there is something really expensive, then I do recommend the FlixBus there. I don't think I'd recommend it back, especially if you have children. Not only for your own sake, but for the sanity of everyone else involved. Please do not bring a 5-year-old on a bus. Bad idea. But other than that, my overall sort of experience was very, very pleasant, and I would recommend FlixBus. This is not at all a sponsored video, but if you have enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe. It helps me out more than you can ever imagine, especially because this is not a sponsored video. And let me know if you ever traveled with FlixBus before. But for now, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Out.